Hello and welcome everyone to today's conversation on the paradox of coaching. Excited to talk about this. It's really some great insight. Several of you had questions ahead of time, and I think the idea of refreshing yourself, some of you talked about, or really clarifying differences between the different roles. That's built in, and that's where we're going to go with the conversation. Please do also ask questions throughout. There's two ways you can do that. One is in the question panel. You can type in questions and I will monitor that as we go. The other way you can do it is if you do want to come on live and ask it, save yourself all that typing. You can raise your hand and I will unmute you individually. You can ask your question and then I'll mute you again and we'll continue. So both opportunities, happy to do either one. And I've got some really exciting news, and I'm going to save it till the end. A lot of you are coaches and graduates, and so we've got something really great coming down the pike for you. All right, diving in. Where are we going with this quick 30-minute conversation? We've got lots to cover. We will start with definitions. Specifically, we're going to talk about coaching as a skill set, coaching as a culture inside of an organization, and then coaching as a profession, differentiating those things. We're going to give you the paradox. Maybe you've seen it already. It is out on our LinkedIn group, has been for a while. So we'll talk about that. And then from that, it will invite doing more definitions. So we will do definitions on mentoring, managing, counseling, therapy, consulting, leading, and of course, coaching. The idea being that clarity, that understanding what the differences are. We'll talk about what that means to you, and then of course a review of resources and time for Q&A at the end. So great stuff. Diving in, coaching as a skill set. What does that mean? Well, first off, think about what a skill is. The skill is the ability to do or to perform a task. Learning the skill of coaching requires coaching-specific training with coach trainers. Keep in mind, this is, as with any profession, very specific. So for example, they've done some research on this, and a lot of companies want to do internal training programs, which is a great concept. The challenge is they're designed and delivered by people who are untrained coaches. So it's very important that the skill be learned with coach-specific training and with trainers who are coach trainers, and there's a big difference there. I had the pleasure of working with a committee on defining the competencies for coach trainers. So that's your insight on coaching as a skill set. Or, excuse me, so coaching as a skill, our definitions. Now let's talk about what that means in your interactions every day. As a skill, it includes being aware of other people, the way they're thinking, the way they're processing, how they're interacting. It means having the ability to really listen to what they're saying instead of just pretending like we're listening, to ask them questions that are powerful, and also to empower them so they consider, choose, and act. And this is huge. It's so funny. We talk about this during class. Coaching as a skill set is useful in all of your interactions, whatever that may be. So it's applicable. As a culture inside of an organization, if we take that concept of that coaching skill set and we spread it out, what is that? So first off, to define culture, our working definition, it's a way of describing the behaviors and ways of communicating that's used within a group or an organization. A coaching culture begins with buy-in that starts at the top of an organization, and it takes consistent application throughout the organization. It means applying those coaching skills throughout the organization. So very specifically for us, developing a coaching culture calls for advanced coaching certification for the key personnel, who are the ones that are really spearheading this effort. And then basic coach training throughout. And that may or may not be a coaching certification. It will be basic training on coaching skill sets. It often is going to involve developing new policies within the organization and creating new behaviors to really apply that coaching. Then, coaching as a profession. Well, when you look up what a profession is, it talks about an occupation requiring specific learning. It includes accountability, and it includes a code of ethics. So coaching is a young profession. If you think about professions, others that are out there, they've all gone through what coaching is currently going through. And that's, okay, we're growing, we're evolving. Are we going to self-regulate? Is government going to regulate us? And when you look at really defining a profession, the code of ethics, the standards for people that are professionals in that field, and accountability. So what the ICF, for example, the International Coach Federation, is doing, it absolutely supports coaching being a profession and self-regulation of coaching. So we have our code of ethics. ICF defines 11 core competencies of a coach. They approve training programs. They have standards for membership, and they have standards for credentialing. All of that supports, as coaches, being professionals and what that means. So the coaching profession is moving towards self-regulation, and it's through the ICF. Our code of ethics, our definitions of the competencies, our standards for training, the requirements of training to even become a member, and then the accountability to the code of ethics. Plus, the ICF also has a process for credentialing, and there's 3 different levels of credentialing. So the information is available on the website because the focus here is different than that. I'm going to say, if you want to know more, let me know. And in the meantime, let's keep going to where we're focused right now. So coaching as a profession involves starting with your coach training, becoming a member of the International Coach Federation, and then for many of you, going beyond that, because advancing in coaching as a profession involves earning a credential with the International Coach Federation. So to become a member is the 60 hours of training. To earn a credential, in addition to training hours, they require coaching experience, they require mentor coaching, and they have a coach knowledge assessment. These credentials, the membership requirements, all support what it means to us to say, yes, coaching is a profession. And some of you have probably heard me say, becoming a member of the ICF is much like saying, okay, I have a degree as a coach. I'm really a coach. And it's the gold standard at this point in time for people who are putting themselves out there as a coach. Being a member of the ICF is your minimum standard. Earning a credential with the ICF is much like saying, okay, now I'm getting a master's or a doctorate. It's more advanced. So whether you are a coach and meeting that gold standard, or you're hiring a coach, it's really paying attention. Is the training there? It is the accountability there to the code of ethics. So with all of those definitions in place, now we get to say, what is the paradox of coaching? Here we go. Coaching skills can be used in mentoring, managing, counseling or therapy, consulting, and leading. At the same time, mentoring, managing, counseling or therapy, consulting, and leading are inappropriate when coaching. So that's our paradox. Our skills apply in all of the other roles, and the other roles are inapplicable when you're talking about coaching somebody. So I'm hoping I'm going to get comments in the question panel or somebody raising your hand. Give me your thoughts on that insight and what that means to you. So really, really want to hear from you. And while you're reflecting on that and thinking about what you want to type or say, I'm going to keep us moving forward. Now what we're going to talk about is additional definitions. So the first one we're going to go to is mentoring. Mentoring is one of those terms that we often mistakenly interchange with the word coaching, and they're so completely different. So very specifically, someone who is a mentor is passing on their wisdom and their experience. They give advice, they help people make connections. Mentors are incredibly valuable. They serve a vital role to us personally and in the business world. And it's fabulous having a mentor. It's also very, very different. Managing. What is it when somebody's a manager? Managing means you have responsibility for giving direction and also for evaluating performance. It's a requirement of being in that job, in that capacity. So yes, you apply coaching skills, and it's a very different role because managers do have specific things they're telling people, and they do evaluate. Counseling. Counseling involves collecting the history of an individual, assessing them, determining the condition of their mental health. There's a diagnosis involved. So if somebody's doing counseling, typically they're required to have a diagnosis within the first 30 minutes. And then they also provide guidance. Now, if we further expand and go into therapy, therapy is the treatment of a disorder to resolve problematic behaviors or feelings. Very, very different than coaching. One of the things we often say is somebody who is doing counseling or therapy or in a mental health role is helping someone to become whole. There is a lot of time invested in exploration of the past and of feelings, whereas in coaching, the focus is on the future, what they want it to be and how they're going to get there. Consulting. What exactly is that? Consultants are hired because of their subject matter expertise. They come into an organization, they assess the situation, and they provide expert advice. And they know what they're talking about. That's the reason they're hired, is because of that expertise. The difference, again, they're assessing and they're giving advice. And those are two things that as coaches, we do not do. It doesn't happen. Leading. What is leading? It's sharing a vision. It's pushing for that vision, pushing for action, and inspiring that action. And leaders are the ones making the decisions. So it's an exciting role. It's a powerful role. Are there coaches that are also leaders? Absolutely. And the role itself is very, very different. So what exactly then is a coach? A coach is someone who partners with an individual, or in some cases, a group or team, and a coach empowers them. So when we say individual, we say group, we say team, we're referring to them as the client in this working definition. And we're empowering them so that they explore their own possibilities. They plan how they are going to move past challenges. They develop their own strategies. They create their own action plans, and they manage their accountability. Now, as a coach, are we accountability partners? Yeah, absolutely, we're accountability partners. That's a big piece of our role. At the same time, as accountability partners, what do? Well, we ask the client, how do you want to manage your accountability? How do you want me to be your accountability partner? And we have the clients tell us how they want us to serve as their accountability partner. That's so very, very different from the other roles that we talked about. So for you, whether you're a coach, working with coaches, whatever your interest is, what's the application? Serving in the role of mentor, manager, consultant, leader comes after a level of education and years of experience. So we don't walk out the door and start at that level. It's something we get to after time. It's a position or a role that's earned. It takes having that experience. Now, being put in that role, what is that going to be based on? Well, if you're going to be a mentor, manager, consultant, or leader, it's based on your expertise in a particular subject matter. Coaches may or may not have subject matter expertise. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Coaching is a process expertise, and if there is subject matter expertise, it serves to inform questions in the exploration process. In terms of being the manager, consultant, mentor, leader, it's all about that subject matter expertise. If someone is going to be a counselor or therapist, it requires very specific and specialized training and licensure. For example, the very few cases we've seen where there's been legal action against a coach, the action is saying, hey, they're doing counseling or therapy without a license because coaching is so completely different. So if someone is saying, hey, yes, I'm a coach and I'm doing coaching, it is a different role, and it's important we understand our role, understand our capacity, and stay within that. Be true to it. So in terms of how we function, if you want to be a coach, and I know from the names here that many of you are coaches, if you want to be a coach, you get your coach-specific training. To become a member of the ICF, that gold standard, it's 60 hours of training. The ICF approves training programs based on those programs teaching the 11 core competencies of the coach and the code of ethics. So for example, some of you have completed 30 hours with the Certified Professional Coach program, and some of you have gone on and done the Master Coach class so that you actually, after you complete the Master Coach class, qualify for membership in the ICF. So prior to that, you're a certified coach, and if you're going to develop that as a profession compared to as a skill set, look at what it means to become a member of the ICF and how important that is, because more and more we're seeing we're going to self-regulate, and it's going to be through the ICF. And more often, people hiring a coach are asking those questions. Are you ICF? They want to know. So, significant piece. All right. Addition to that, coaching certification, of course, is designed to help coaches develop coaching competencies for the work they do, the profession. Coaching certification also helps people in other roles because the skills are applicable. So we talked about that. Back to our paradox of coaching. Very specifically, coaching skills can be used in mentoring, managing, counseling, or therapy, consulting, and leading. Mentoring, managing, counseling, or therapy, consulting, and leading are inappropriate when coaching. So learning the coaching skills makes sense. To give some of you some examples, we have many people that come through the first level of training because they're going to use those coaching skills in their job as an HR professional, as a talent development professional, organizational development, project manager, etc., because those skills make sense in those other roles. People that are putting themselves out there as a professional coach then go on and complete the Master Coach program so that they join the International Coach Federation. Big, significant piece in terms of what's going on. So resources that are available to all of you. First off, if you haven't yet, you want to go there, check out the International Coach Federation. To give you a bit of background, they are a nonprofit professional membership organization, and it's really about managing coaching as a profession. and having the standards and the ethics in place that serve that. Of course, we want you to keep Center for Coaching certification available to you as one of your resources, and the Center for Coaching Solutions. So the International Coach Federation website is coachfederation.org. The Center for Coaching Certification website is coachcert.com. And the Center for Coaching Solutions website is the full name, centerforcoachingsolutions.com. Additional resources for you. And this is where I'm going to give you that surprise. So first off, we do publish a blog, new blog twice a week. We publish a book once a year. Graduates of the program write the chapters in the books. It is so amazing and impressive to see some of the expertise, because we have coaches with lots of education and experience, and they're sharing that. As a matter of fact, I see some of the authors on the attendance list here. So great content in the book series. And then, of course, we do these webinars. All right. I mentioned I had something really exciting. We're in the process, everyone. So just to let you know, we are going to have assessments available to all of you. If you are a graduate, you're going to be able to get assessments for your clients very inexpensively. If you are not a graduate of our program, what's going to happen is those assessments plus a coaching session are going to be available to you, and again, very affordably. So watch for more coming on that. We're going to have, there's 10 different assessment tools on personality, values, emotional intelligence, 360s, workplace, etc. So there's all kinds of great stuff coming. Very, very excited about that. All right. Of course, we are available if you want to have a quick conversation or send an email and ask a quick question. All of that's available to you. We also are a resource for outsourcing. So if you do want to start and run or manage or enhance a coaching program internally, we're available for that. Of course, we offer the coach training at whichever level. Sometimes we go in and it's tailored to a specific organization. It's coaching skills for some of the other roles that we talked about. Other times it's the full-on certification. So you have those options. And then, of course, we have lots of graduates who are absolutely amazing coaches and available to you as well. And we're happy to help you match up with that. I do have for each of you a gift. We do this because you're here and put your time with us, and we want to give that back. So if you want to ask more questions, have some individual time after this is over, I'm going to load the recording on our YouTube channel, and I will send you a link to it. If you want, when you receive that email, let me know you want 30 minutes, and I'll give you a link to my calendar so you can schedule that. For yourself, be thinking about what are the resources you want to be using, what's your process. Start planning for yourself, implementing your own strategies, and achieving your results. So question and answer time, and we do have a few minutes, so hopefully you've all been thinking and reflecting and have some questions. I've got some other comments in the question panel, and am hoping to get more. And what I'm going to do in the meantime is pull up, many of you submitted questions ahead of time. So what I want to do is pull those up, make sure we're answering that. Let's see, and I'm looking at who's here, what the questions were that you submitted ahead of time. And we've got, mostly what I'm seeing in these questions is you're looking for ideas for the definitions, etc. So I feel like we've covered the questions that were submitted ahead of time. And I am looking for any hands up with questions or anything in the question panel. And by the way, glad you're enjoying this. Several of you are saying thank you and you like that. So glad to see that. So I have a question on definitions for advisors or consultants. So in terms of the definition, when we talked about consultants, let me pull that up for you. The definition we gave is a consultant is someone who's going to come in, they're going to assess the situation, and they're going to provide expert advice. When we say advisor, we are often talking about somebody that is in any one of these roles. So, for example, a mentor is often an advisor. A manager is often an advisor. We also have consultants that are advisors. We have leaders that are advisors. So an advisor, very specifically, is someone who's giving you advice, telling you what to do and how to do it. That is their role. That's what they're there for. So hopefully that clarifies that question for you. And it looks like we're good on the additional questions that, oh, good. Somebody else, what might be a signal from the client that will alert me that the client is asking for consulting? Okay, so I love that question. And first off, here's what interesting conversation I've had with other coaches. It is that oftentimes, because clients don't really know what coaching is or how it works, they come thinking that they want somebody to tell them what to do, to be the consultant or the mentor. And that's because they don't know what coaching is all about. At the ICF conference, we talked about this. It's the challenge with coaching is getting out a common message. So I'm actually working on something I want to put out. Let me test it on all of you. Because we all struggle with, hey, what is coaching? How can I say this? How can I explain it to people? I'm thinking a really short tagline that we can all use is going to be helpful. And then in a conversation, we can go on and expand on that. So the tagline I want to test out, and please give me your thoughts or comments on it, is that coaching is advanced development for advanced results. And love to hear your thoughts on that. So back to the question. If a client comes to you, very often they'll say things thinking you're going to be a mentor or a consultant. And then it's our job as a coach to explain the difference, what a coach is and isn't, and how it works. So, for example, if somebody says, well, yeah, I really want you to tell me what to do and to give me advice. One of the conversations I've had with people is, imagine this. Imagine you have a friend, a really great friend. You get together, maybe you go out for dinner or a glass of wine or whatever it is, and you've got a challenge you're facing, and you share that with your friend, and your friend gives you some advice. And in your mind, you know your friend's smart, you know their advice is good. Now boil it down to reality. How likely are you to follow through with that? We know that when people tell us the answer, we usually don't follow through. We also know that when people figure out their own answer, they are more likely to follow through, way more likely, because it's theirs, so they own it. I will actually have that conversation that I just modeled with clients or prospective clients, people who say, hey, I want to coach, and we're talking about what it is and how it works, and I'll explain it just like that. And I'll explain being a coach takes, for all of you, think about it this way, it takes more skill, it takes more patience, it takes more expertise. And when you coach somebody, instead of telling them the answer, they truly are empowered. And the reason coaching has that average return on investment of 600% is because it works, because people do follow through. So hopefully that's helping there. Glad you enjoyed the definitions and the paradox. Somebody asked me to repeat the tagline. So the tagline that I'm playing with is coaching is advanced development for advanced results. So advanced development for advanced results. Let's see, what role does feedback to the client play as a mentor, manager, coach, therapist, etc.? Okay, I love that. That's a great question. All right, so when you think about giving somebody feedback, very often there's a level of interpretation involved. So, for example, if I'm a mentor and I'm giving somebody feedback, it's going to include my interpretation and opinion in terms of what's going on. If I am a manager, the same is true. I'm giving them feedback and it includes my interpretation. It often will include specific direction or advice. Uh, if I'm a therapist or a counselor, it will include some assessing, some diagnosing, and some advice. As a coach, when we give feedback, it is observation free of any of the rest of it. It's pure observation. So very specifically, we keep it simple. We keep it to the observation. There is zero interpretation, judgment, or advice involved in that. It's a pure observation. Hopefully that helps answer that question. Let me know if you've got a follow-up to that. So want to make sure we're covering that. And from your other comments, it looks like we are good. I do want to say to each and every one of you, thank you so much for being here, for your time, and for being a part of this fabulous profession and who we are and what we do as coaches. Please let me know what else we can do to be helpful. We want to be available to you, support your success and what you want to achieve. So thank you, everybody, and thank you for your comments in the panel, too. So glad you enjoyed it. Make it a great day.